in safe and joyful learning environments. I'm grateful for the adults who, like all of us, are navigating this in their personal lives and are also showing up each day to support their students. Next, before we move to public comment, I'd like to remind you all that tomorrow is the final day to submit a lottery application to My School DC, and to briefly turn to our Executive Director, Dr. Michelle Walker-Davis, to give us an update.
Thank you, Chair Cruzy. I want to just spend a few minutes speaking about a few things. One, our parent satisfaction in schools, our school quality report, and the upcoming park administration, and just an acknowledgement, as you did, as we close out Black History Month. And before I get into those topics, I do also want to acknowledge that many people's hearts are heavy as we watch what is going on across the world, as well as what we are gearing up for here locally. So I just want to acknowledge that there's a lot that we are all juggling in addition to the pandemic. As I speak to our satisfaction, I want to acknowledge an important public opinion poll that was published last week on February 23rd in the Washington Post. On one level, the Post poll was not that positive. The paper found that overall perceptions of the city's schools have barely budged in the last 3 years. In all, 42% of residents, parents, and non-parents rate schools positively, while 39% rate them negatively. Those numbers were similar to 2019 before the pandemic hit. But when the Washington Post asked parents with children in public schools, as opposed to all residents, the numbers changed significantly and for the better. 2/3 of parents with children, 63%, say that public schools as a whole in the city are excellent or good. And parents were even more positive about their children's own schools, with 80% of public school parents rating them positively. Moreover, 78% gave their children's schools positive marks for handling education during the COVID pandemic. Now, while there's always room for improvement, parents with children in DC public schools, both charter and traditional, are largely happy. This is good news for us, and it reflects the hard work that school leaders, teachers, and others have been doing day in and day out in educating our students, and they absolutely deserve our thanks. This is not being done in a vacuum. We have the support of city leaders, in particular Mayor Bowser, who has consistently supported public education in DC. The investments she and the city have made are going a long way in helping our schools attract and retain teachers, increase COVID safety measures, as well as invest in academic services to support our learners. And I was pleased to be at the press conference when she announced a 5.9% increase in the funding formula that she will be proposing in the budget this year, as well as additional dollars for academic recovery. One mark of the collective effort that our schools are meeting, one mark of this collective effort that our schools are engaged in is meeting the mandate on protecting our children during the pandemic. In fact, 97% of teachers and staff working at a DC public charter school have received a full course of vaccination against COVID-19. Now, about school quality and park. As we all know, the pandemic is still with us, but we are taking a number of steps to move forward and develop a new normal. We are in the process of developing new tools to measure how well students are learning in schools, which we intend to pilot next school year. In the meantime, we will not be tiering schools 1, 2, or 3 on our school quality report, given the lack of data. However, we are pleased that the city will administer park this spring after a 2-year pause. I want to acknowledge that not everyone is a fan of testing, as I am, but it is so important that we have data on where our students are academically. Standardized testing is the best tool that we have available to measure students comparably across the city. We need this data to understand where students are academically, and the results will help schools better plan to address students' knowledge and skills gap. And finally, I want to acknowledge that today is the last day of Black History Month. But as you know, at DC PCSB, we believe and acknowledge history all day, all year, every week, every month. It is not limited to 1 month. And it's something that we really feel that everyone should recognize and learn and be a part of this journey throughout the year. We intend to do our part. And with Women's History beginning tomorrow, we will continue our exploration of the contributions of women across all communities to our city, region, country, and world. I am proud to be a Black woman leading this diverse organization and partnering with this board in our commitments to race, equity, diversity, and inclusion. So thank you for this time, and I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Cruzy.
Thank you, Dr. Walker-Davis. All right, as we move through each agenda item, Brianni, our moderator for the evening, will unmute DC PCSB staff or individuals speaking on behalf of a school. The hand raising feature has been disabled. Individuals who may have previously signed up to testify will be called upon. As a reminder, all written public comment is available to the public on our website. If you didn't sign up by sending your name to the public comment mailbox before this meeting, you may submit your comments to public.comment@dcpcsb.org or call our public comment line to leave a voicemail testimony at area code 202-328-2660 and select option 2. It looks like this evening we may not have any public comment previously registered to testify. So I'm just want to reiterate the reminder that if you would like to submit something in writing or voicemail, to do so by emailing public.comment@dcpcsb.org or to call the public comment line, leaving voicemail testimony. Again, that number is 202-328-2660 and select option 2. I'll now welcome up Dr. Scott from the PCSB staff.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Quinyon Scott. I am a specialist in the School Performance Department. This is a public hearing to discuss Roots Public Charter Schools proposal to amend its charter agreement to modify its goals and academic achievement expectations. The school seeks to replace its end-of-year English language arts assessment from iReady to Journeys for students in kindergarten through grade 2 and adopt new business rules accordingly. A representative from the school is available this evening to answer the board's questions.
Do we need to welcome someone from Roots?
I don't see Bernita, Dr. Thompson or Kukiendall.
Why don't we give them another moment or two? Welcome, Dr. Sharp.
Thank you. How is everyone?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Dr. Sharp, is there anyone else who's joining you?
I believe so. Of course, I'm waiting for the principal, Dr. Benita Thompson, to arrive. Let me, if you will, I can give her a quick call. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Chair Cruzy, as we wait for additional representatives of Roots, if I might ask Dr. Scott to elaborate a bit on the request from the school, and if you will listen to what she has to offer and then see how you'd like to proceed this evening.
Okay, I'm sorry, folks. Thanks. I was just on the phone with Dr. Thompson, and she's being challenged for a password, which she says she doesn't have. So that's why she's not on. Is it possible you could send her another link?
Sure, I'll reach out to her.
Okay. Benita, did you hear that? Benita?
Hold on, Rashidi, I can't hear Jesse. What's Jesse? What did you say, Jesse?
That she's going to send you another link.
Okay, she's gonna send me another link.
Was Rashiki able to get in?
Rashidi, were you able to get in? No, but I'm live streaming it. I looked at that thing, but it's live streaming. Okay, she just live streaming it. She said, so she just went to the website and is live streaming it.
Well, she probably wants to log in as a participant in case they ask questions.
She needs to log in as a participant in case they ask questions. Well, as long as I'm staying on the line with you, Jesse, if they ask for a question, I can answer it and tell them.
If we have to work it that way, we will. But did you get the link yet?
I'm gonna try it again.
And tell me what you are doing so that maybe I can help you. Are you clicking on the actual button or the?
Dr. Sharp, we'll give you,
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was going to ask for you all to take a few minutes to get on, and Dr. Scott will explain in the meantime.
Oh, okay, so you muted me. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Scott.
Thank you. So the staff at Roots is currently seeking to amend its charter amendment. Its charter amendment application, they've requested to change the current assessment for ELA, as I shared before, to go from iReady to Journeys. A couple key things is that in 2019, when the school initially changed its assessment, there was no Journeys assessment to complement the Journeys curriculum that the school uses daily. So in the process, in October of 2021, Roots submitted an early childhood performance management framework assessment proposal, which consisted of their request to add Journeys to our current list of approved assessments. In November of 2021, DC PCSB approved this request. Specifically, the difference in the current goal and the proposed goal outside of Journeys is the business rules. Also, the business rules will add for school year 22-23 and beyond, 70% of all kindergarten through second grade students who attend the school for the full academic year will score proficient or advanced in the Journeys end of the year English language arts assessment. Dr. Walker-Davis, did you want me to continue with any additional information?
That's a great overview. Chair Cruzy, you can let us know how you want to proceed. Oh, and Dr. Thompson has joined us, so great.
Perfect timing.
Welcome, Dr. Thompson. Can you hear us? You're on mute.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Okay, I'm gonna hang up with you, Jesse. Okay, it's good to be here with you guys. I have been trying for the last 15 minutes.
Well, we're glad to have you, and Dr. Sharp, thank you for helping Dr. Thompson get on here. Dr. Scott just walked through the proposed goal and gave us a little bit of context. We wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to offer your thoughts and some context around it, around the request, for why you want to change the goals assessment, why you're changing. There you go. Why this move from iJourney, and then the board will have an opportunity to ask a few questions. I think we may have some that we just wanted to understand a bit better before we go to a vote later in the meeting.
Okay, certainly. All right. Well, with Roots Public Charter School, we try to do the top-notch job we can in English language arts as well as in math. We did find the top. Here goes the camera. Let me see here. We did find top-notch program for both of those, math and English language arts. We found My Math program and we found Journey's program. My Math had their own assessment, so we never had a problem with that. Journeys, at the time that we got it, it was new, and so they did not really have an end of the year assessment. So they told us, well, use Continuum, because Continuum is close to what we're doing and you could use that as your assessment. So we took their word for it and we used Continuum, but it wasn't coordinated with their program. So therefore, during the school year, the children were doing great in class and with the program. And then at the end of the year, taking the Continuum test, the way it was structured, the way it was asked, the things that it said were totally different than, I'm gonna have to call you back, I'm on a board meeting. We're totally different. So we tried it for a while, and then we came to the board and we said, you know what, this is not working. So we heard about another program that had an assessment, and that was iReady. So we read about it, and that sounded like, hey, maybe this will work. So we did that too, but it didn't work. The bottom line is, if you're feeding apples, you want to test with apples. You don't want to feed apples and test with mangoes, because it just doesn't, it doesn't correlate well. So finally, we talked with Journeys. We said, you know what, your program is excellent. Do you have an assessment yet? An end of the year assessment? So they did. So we begged our dear Dr. Scott, please let us use this assessment. I think we will find that when you assess with a program that you're using, it does a lot better than if you assess with a program that you're not using. And that's just the bottom line to it. It's really simple. It's not complicated. It's just, we would like to test with the program that we're using for our children.
Thank you. Board members, I want to invite the opportunity to ask some questions. Jim?
Dr. Thompson, thank you for your explanation. Is my understanding correct that at the time you introduced the Journeys curriculum, the Journeys assessment that you'd now like to use wasn't available?
Correct.
And it's become available now?
Correct.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Thompson. Thank you for your explanation. I just wanted to ask how you've engaged your families and staff about this potential change in assessment and any reaction that you've gotten so far.
Well, throughout the school year, our families are constantly engaged with our teachers and our children, working with them with the ELA and all of the programs that we do. And so they see at the end of each semester when we give report cards that their children are on the honor roll, they're on the merit roll, they're doing this and that. They see their work on Class Dojo. They see their work on Google Classroom. They see their work that they bring home. And then they take the end of the year tests and it looks totally different. And then they want to know why, and we do too, but we do know that you're giving apples and using an assessment of oranges. And that's why you see a difference. So they are totally on board with Journeys. They love the Journeys program, the teachers and the staff, the teachers and the students and the parents. And they would like to be able to be assessed correctly with the correct program that they're using.
Hi, everyone. It's Rashiki Kirkendall, Vice Principal of Roots. I just wanted to add on to the question that Jim asked with regard to the Journeys assessment. As Dr. Thompson mentioned, we did have the first Journeys assessment, which was called the Continuum, and we were given permission through the Charter School Board to use that one. But we found that it was a third-party assessment that Hart Mifflin was using that wasn't related to the Journeys program. It was like this sort of catch-all for the whole program, and it wasn't connected as much as we thought it would be to the Journeys program that we were using. And so over the years, they've now, they now have a program, an assessment program that's more aligned to the curriculum that we're using.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Can you speak to how you plan to use the assessment data from this to address student needs? And similarly, Dr. Walker-Davis opened the meeting up referencing how we have statewide annual testing coming up with a different assessment with Park, and how that is important information for all of us to drive and understand where there may be needs to drive instructional planning for next year. Can you speak to how this will inform some of the school's planning and work?
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, but we use a program, ELA program. Our students, our parents, and our staff see where the children, in the program, it lets you know who needs what. It has learning paths within it. So therefore, if you're weaker in informational text, you'll do more informational text. If you're more needy in literature, then they'll give you more literature or whatever. But all of those things, they have benchmarks, benchmark 1, benchmark 2, benchmark 3, and the final one, benchmark 4, is the end of the year or the formative assessment. But throughout the year, you're doing benchmarks, and throughout the year, you're doing learning paths with each of the children based on which part of the ELA program they need the most. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I wanted to add to it too as well. Of course, the teachers will need to have more training with the program, because now we're going to be using the assessment and the curriculum aligned together. And I think that will help us. So we'll definitely make sure that the teachers know how to use that data to inform the instruction, wherein when we were using iReady, to Mama Bernita's point, that was an assessment, online assessment that drove the children's learning in terms of individualized learning, wherein the Journeys assessment will also be individualized, but the teachers will be able to pull from the resources. They have a myriad of resources for for development of the teachers, number one, and also for retention and help for the students and parent participation. So I think that having those two alignments will help us help the students achieve greater results, because they're, to Mama Bernita's point, they're apples to apples, and they have the resources in the program to help the teachers meet the students' needs. Right now we're using iReady, and we can use it, of course we use it to drive our instruction right now, but it's more standards based, and we have to look at what standards or what Common Core units in terms of informational text or literary text, and we address that as a bigger bucket, where I think with the continuum, things will be a little more specific.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the follow-up. Board members, I believe we'll be voting on this at the March meeting. So thank you, Doctors Sharp, Thompson, and Vice Principal Kayun Kendall.
Kirkendall, thank you.
Right, it is now time for our public meeting. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the February 28th, 2022 board meeting agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now a roll call vote. Rick Cruz,
Aye.
Ricardo Ganjam,
Sorry, aye.
Jim Sandman,
Aye.
Leah Cruzy. The ayes have it.
Do I get a vote?
Thank you, Dr. Sharp. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Would any board member like to remove an item from the calendar for further discussion or state a recusal for the record? Okay. I will take, so we have board members, we have reviewed the items in the consent agenda. I would welcome a motion.
Move to approve all items on the consent calendar.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, Rick Cruz,
Aye.
Jim Sandman,
Aye.
Ricardo Ganjam,
Aye.
and Leah Cruzy is aye. New business. Is there any new business? With none, then I would take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn the February 28th, 2022 board meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, Rick Cruz. Having a change of heart there, Rick?
Oh, aye.
Thanks. Jim Sandman,
Sorry.
Aye.
Ricardo Ganjam,
Aye.
Leah Cruzy is aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.